What's good, everybody? It's your boy Shockwave48 here. Welcome back to another video. And today we got ourselves a new chapter of My Hero Academia 407. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of that day to arrive of the new chapter of My Hero Academia. So this chapter is pretty much a little backstory of All for One, his past, and about the Hero Society being created and stuff. So we're pretty much not. I think we're going to probably see more of the action later on 408, I believe. But we're just going to give a little backstory about All for One's past and stuff. So that's pretty much what this chapter is about because I've seen the video. So let's go and jump right in, guys. Let's do this.
All right, we got the 407 spoilers, and this chapter is so exciting and so satisfying because we're finally going into All for One's full backstory. But not only that, but we're getting more insight into the history of the My Hero world than we ever had before. Like, I love this type of stuff. So let's just get into it. So the title of the chapter is Paranormal Orphan. It begins with a we'll say Lady of the Night. I can't be saying this word too early on in the YouTube video. But anyway, she contracted a disease a year ago, causing a small spike-shaped tumor to grow on her left arm. But she didn't notice it for 8 months because the two babies growing inside of her were draining all her strength. She gave birth to the twins at a riverside and died soon after, but the tumor on her arm mysteriously disappeared. This panel focuses on the hole in baby One for All's hand. When rats came to eat the corpse and the babies, the river's current carried the two of them away. 1 year later, the glowing baby was born in China, but these new powers were not only given to newborn babies, they also appeared in people who hadn't reached puberty yet. Studies showed that this phenomenon consisted of a new addition to the human genetic factor. So this is what I was talking about. Not only we're getting his backstory, but way more insight into the My Hero history. So, big twist here is that All for One and Yoichi, the Shigaraki twins here, they had their quirks before the glowing baby, who was explicitly said in the very first chapter to be the first instance of a quirk. But now I guess it means that was the first recorded instance of a quirk because, you know, no one was really paying attention to the Lady of the Night who gave birth to All for One and Yoichi. Now, as for this spike-shaped tumor that's growing out of her left arm, which is a disease, this isn't being explained, and at this point I don't think it is going to be. I think this is as far as we're gonna go with Patient Zero and where quirks come from, because I think that if Horikoshi were to explain it, it probably would have been in this chapter, although there is a chance that All for One might, I don't know, drop the beans on what it actually is, like some kind of alien virus or something later on, I don't know. Or it comes from the blue spider lily or something, or the red spider lily. But at first I thought that this spike-shaped tumor maybe had something to do with what Eri has, you know, because she has like the spiky horn thing coming out of her head and it has to do with her implied time magic. But I'm thinking that it's not that. I'm thinking that it's just a spike quirk or something, as we'll find out later on.
But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare has classes on a wide variety of topics, including
I've heard about
illustration,
Skillshare. I
graphic
never
design,
once,
photography, creative
tried it
writing,
before.
animation, fine art, music, film and video, crafts, social media, and more. Whether you want to learn the basics of watercolor painting or learn how to start your own creative business, Skillshare has classes to take you from beginner to pro alongside a supportive community.
So for me personally, as a content creator, I run into all kind of things like writer's block, lack of creativity, lack of motivation, lack of productivity, etc. And Skillshare has been able to help me with that so much. Especially this class that I recently took, How to Use AI to Organize Your Life. ChatGPT, Notion AI, and Bedine's Chat by Sina Port. This class really helped me discover how to organize my life and work by simply just using AI. Sina showed me techniques for automating repetitive tasks and ways of leveraging AI to minimize procrastination and maximize efficiency, because that's like one of the biggest problems that I deal with, to be honest. Like, it really helped me regain control over my schedule and also helped me make the most of using these these AI tools. I also took the class Airtable for Artists, Organize Your Business and Increase Your Productivity by Shannon McNabb. So also being a content creator, especially at the level that I'm at, you're kind of like running your own business. I mean, almost literally, right? And it is difficult, believe it or not. And Shannon's class has really helped me organize all of that and gave me an in-depth look at how to use Airtable. It's one of the best things I've discovered to help me organize not just my YouTube stuff, but just literally everything. I've been able to use these two classes synergistically to basically send me to like Super Saiyan levels of productivity. So guys, if you're trying to get on my level as well, check out the link in the description.
I'll check it out sometime.
First 500 people who use that link will get a 1 month
Looks very
free trial
entertaining.
of Skillshare. Thanks, guys. But also it's saying that when the rats came to eat the corpse and the babies, that's amazing because it finally ties back into what Overhaul was talking about so many years ago when he said that someone theorized that quirks came from rats or something. I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said that. And we were wondering for the longest time what that meant, and it's this. I guess rats ate All for One's and Yoichi's mother's corpse, and then it just spread around as its own disease and
Gross.
started giving people quirks. I mean, that's what Horikoshi is positing here, right? However, making this information public was a bad idea. It created the idea that those with powers were not human beings, leading to widespread chaos. A few years later, we see an extremist, anti-meta abilities group walking at night, finding a small All for One. They believe he's an orphan of the paranormal, and even if they feel bad for him, it's better to not go near him because he's probably infected. All for One then looks at them in a frightening way and kills all of them with the Spikes quirk, shredding their bodies. That's the quirk
Yikes.
that he stole from his mom. From the moment he was born, he already thought the entire world belonged to him. If you don't give him anything, you're a nuisance. We then see a panel of a newborn All for One biting his dead mother's chest with a furious expression. All right, Horikoshi. I mean, if social media
That's weird.
considers it to be
All for One has a weird,
educational
disgusting
art or whatever,
childhood.
I guess it's okay.
That's why people don't like him, and I
Maybe
don't.
for kids or partly for kids. But this spike quirk, like I said, I guess was the first quirk because that's what his mom had. And also, I think it's really cool how Horikoshi is playing with what All for One and Yoichi's original quirks are, because it was always said that Yoichi had a useless quirk. He had the ability to give the ability, which was nothing, But now, if you really look at it, All for One was also born with a useless quirk, because if there was no other quirks, then what would he be able to take? Like nothing. So they both essentially were born with useless quirks to be able to take and give nothing. But, conveniently, his mom had a spike quirk for some reason. So that's the first one that he got, and why he continuously has used it throughout the series. Because I'm assuming it's the same one that we see him use. Even though I think it's been called Rivet Quirk before or something. Maybe it's a different one I'm thinking of. Maybe Rivet is something different than Spike Quirk. But I mean, I'm talking about the Spike Quirk that he was more so using against All Might earlier. We see small All for One attacking some more people, but Yoichi throws a can at him. Stop that, ouchie. The narration explains that All for One stole all of his mother's nutrients, resulting in his body being small and weak. All for One kicks Yoichi and keeps walking. So I guess All for One, quote unquote, stole it when they were in the womb. I don't think he has like the ability to steal nutrients just inherently with the All for One.
What a terrible childhood he lives in.
Explains why All for One
Disgusting.
is like literally the size of All Might, and Yoichi
He was
is
born of
not.
evil inside him.
Narration explains
No wonder he wants to
although
steal powers.
Yoichi couldn't give him anything, he was one of All for One's things, so he kept him. A few years later, the radio announces that the glowing baby is now fighting on the front line, defending peace. Meanwhile, Yoichi is reading comics. So the glowing baby coming back, and you all know where this is going at this point, but it's like, what was he doing? I'm pretty sure his quirk just made him glow, right? I don't think he had like a substantial offensive powers unless he can like manipulate it in some way. I mean, why not? But it just seems like he's like a mascot more than anything. All for One asks what he's reading. Yoichi says that he can't read complicated books yet, so he's studying with comics. He thinks it's amazing how the author manages to convey a message just through the drawings, and that one day he wants to be like Captain Hero. The narration says that Yoichi still believed in his brother's goodness, because deep down, he remembers that All For One held his hand when they were babies. 3 years later, All For One says that the glowing baby has gathered more than 10 million supporters, but that doesn't make sense. Before we go further, let me just point out Yoichi's reasoning here. Despite seeing him murder many people as a child, he still believed that he had goodness because he held his hand when they were babies, which technically he should have no recollection of. But alright, it all makes sense to me. 50 people with quirks were born in India before the glowing baby. Hey, shout out to India. He has no right to command so many people if he wasn't really the first one, which is why All For One killed him and stole his power. Yoichi asks why he did that, and then All For One replies he's doing it just like the comics. So, I don't know why Horikoshi is suddenly just shoehorning all of this new info in right here. I'm not saying like revealing the backstory, but the whole thing about 50 people with quirks were born in India before the glowing baby. It's like, why are we just finding this out now? This seems like
It's all too much to hear.
Everyone in the world should know about.
Easy.
If they know about the glowing baby, why don't they know about the 50 people with quirks that were born in India? Don't you think India would be saying this? Unless all of this information was somehow just swept under the rug and it was never released. How does All For One know? And why aren't there like more Indian representatives in this series? But also, yeah, this confirms why All For One was glowing, when he was regressing and becoming a teenager during his fight with All Might. He just took the glowing baby's quirk. Or at this point, I guess he was the glowing man. In the comics, they said one for all and all for one, and he loved it. While the hero fights alone with a secret identity, the villain reigns through fear. Just as Yoichi dreams of being a hero, he now has the dream of creating a world where everything exists for his sake. So yeah, this is where the quirk names come from. Comic that they read when they were kids, which, understandable. That was like their whole dynamic anyway. From the initial backstory that we got on them, or the flashback, it just showed that they were both obsessed with comics. Although All For One more so, because I guess it justified his reasoning for his motivation? Wait, why are you running? I just gave you power. The next panel shows Kudo pulling him by the hand. Who are you? Get away from him. He's mine. If you're not mine, then you don't. The last panel shows Yoichi's hand cut off and surrounded by blood. End of chapter. So this is obviously picking up where we constantly have been left off in flashbacks with Kudo, which is actually the name of the second user, reaching out to Yoichi.
It pretty much looks like Bakugo.
Being imprisoned by All For One. So I really hope that we're just going to continue this flashback here. Like, Horikoshi, just let it rip, man. Give us like 3 or 4 chapters of this flashback, because if you're ending the series, you have nothing else to lose. Just give us the rest of the story here. Like, you could still wrap this up by Christmas if you really wanted to, but just give us this backstory at least. It's kind of crucial to the whole freaking series. So I just hope we go more into Yoichi passing on One For All to Kudo, and then, Kudo giving it to the third user, and so on and so forth. But oh my god, please, Horikoshi, please end this flashback on All Might versus All For One in their prime. If you do this, I will be eternally grateful. Not that you need that from me, I know, but oh my god. Not even me, just eternally grateful. All of us bros out there, all the boys, us meatheads who enjoy, one of the more fundamental aspects of this series. It's all we've ever wanted. So please just show us the fight of fights, the battle of battles. And then you can just end this series, gracefully. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you thought about it.
Wow. Just what a tragic and disgusting background story that All For One had as a child. I mean, he literally just stole his mother's, whatever he just stole from her, and pretty much ate her. It's gross. He actually believed the world is his. Nah, dude. The world is for everybody to live, not just you. See, this is the only reason why people don't like you, because you like to steal power from other people and use people for your own gain. Just like League of Villains. And not only that, you don't belong here anymore. You've done your share of fair, so now you gotta die. And I'm not sure how you're gonna be defeated, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna be gone for good in a few chapters later. So that was a really interesting and tragic backstory I ever heard from chapter 407. But I want to hear nothing backstory. The only thing I want to hear is between Bakugo All for One and Shigaraki and Deku. Literally, I want to see more, more detail of Shigaraki and Deku, how Deku's going to take it out of Shigaraki once and for all. But I clearly want to see All for One gone at this point. So, yeah. But we're pretty much on the wait, so we're not technically on break yet, but that's good because obviously we got to wait a few next week until 408. So, yeah, can't wait. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.